but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't consider myself an alcoholic, although it does run in my family. So, because my dad's an alcoholic.
Is he?
Yes.
Okay. And so you grew up in a home with an alcoholic father?
Yes.
Yes. And how was that as you were growing up? Can you describe your childhood, adolescent years?
Sure. I grew up with my dad raised me from age 9 on as a single parent, and he worked in like manual labor, so he drank like every single night. I didn't have a relationship with my mom after the age of 9 because she left after the divorce. And she just really wasn't interested in being in my life at all. So it was really hard because my dad was an alcoholic and he did work all the time, and he wasn't really equipped to be a single parent. And he never remarried, so, and I have a little brother, he's 2 years younger than me. So I kind of felt like I took on like the mom role for him and the wife role even for my dad. And my dad is very like traditional, and women have roles and men have roles. So I also took on the house cleaning, the cooking, you know, when I was 9. So yeah.
So you've had a lot of responsibility from a very young age.
Yes.
Yeah. And that feeling of being alone sounds like maybe that has been with you since you were younger.
Probably.
Because we talked about how you felt alone in your marriage,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe even in your childhood and teenage years,
Probably.
you felt alone.
Probably.
Yeah. Was your dad supportive of you, like while you were in school and like to go through school when you were, because he's got those traditional values?
Yeah.
Did he support you in what you wanted to do in your life?
My dad is extremely sexist, and he really was not. I mean, he didn't really have any interest in what I was going to do in the future. He really wasn't supportive. He really takes like the automatic, like whatever I say, like he's a man, so he knows better. You know, when I said I was going to college, he said, you can't afford it. When I said that I was going to be a social worker, he said, you should be a nurse. So he just really was like, anything I say, he's like, oh, well, how much money do they make? Well, you're never going to be able to support yourself. You're going to have a husband. So, yeah. But my brother, he grew up to be an iron worker like my dad. And my brother barely graduated high school, but he's still way smarter than me. He's successful no matter what he does. So, yeah. My dad's extremely sexist.
And you're pretty hard on yourself sometimes.
I feel like you have to be successful.
Yeah. So you have a successful drive
I
instilled
do.
in you from early on.
Yeah.
And you also feels like it sounds like maybe you have a financial drive, because I hear a lot of financial undertones. Like you want to be able to save.
When we grew up was how poor we were. So it was really important for me to make more money than my dad because I didn't want to grow up poor. Yeah. And I didn't even realize how much money my dad made, but my dad definitely made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But he was really into saving money, not spending it. Like we shopped very like cheap and thrift, and all I heard anytime I asked for anything, I was terrified to ask for anything really when it wasn't my birthday or Christmas because we don't have the money, we can't afford it. Like I honestly thought that we were on the brink of being like starving and homeless growing up. Wow. And it really wasn't until college when I was applying for financial aid that I realized how much money my dad made.
Wow. So that was kind of an eye-opener for you then, because you had struggled all this time and felt insecure, I would say.
Oh yeah. I mean, I got called poor growing up, and whenever I went to fill out my FAFSA and I saw how much money my dad actually made, like I was mad that we lived so frugally and then I was like called poor when he obviously made enough and we weren't really on the brink of starvation like I thought.
Yeah.
And then I really like started looking into careers and stuff and realized that I will never make as much money. Definitely not doing social work as my dad made.
Yeah.
And that really,
And how does that make you feel?
I feel like I mean, I get it because I also am like terrified of being broke and homeless and all of these things. So I feel like to an extent, like he taught me how important money was, but the stress of being like a little kid and thinking that you're going to end up homeless, or thinking that if you ask your dad for a new pair of shoes, that it's going to mean that he can't eat lunch for 2 weeks.
Right.
Like, that's not really healthy either.
It's pretty extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have any extreme thoughts like that now, like with yourself, or that you practice? Like, okay, well, I can't buy myself this because I might need this, or do you not let yourself get things that you may want?
When I was like a teenager, when I first got I got my first job, and my brother was the same way. We both like were so bad with money because we never had it, that we struggled to really balance wants and needs. And like my bank account was constantly overdrawn because I just bought whatever I wanted because finally I had money and I could treat myself. But now that I'm older, and he's the same way now too, we really like are big on having, like, we have a goal where we have to have this much money in our savings account, or we're not comfortable, and we do kind of like deprive ourselves just in case something horrible happens that we can't predict. So yeah, we both do that, and my dad encourages that.
Yeah.
He's constantly still, I mean, I'm 32 and he's like asked me today, how much money do you have in your savings?
Yeah.
And like I lie to him, because if I tell him the exact amount, like if I say I have
like,
$100, he'll say, well, you get paid this much, and he'll budget my money out and tell me exactly how much money I should have.
Right.
So
you feel like even as an adult, you're a little still micromanaged by your dad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Major.
When you drink, does the feelings that you have about the stress of not having enough money in savings, or the stress of the things that happened when you were younger, or just all of it, does it just all go away? Like you don't have to worry, you don't think about any of it?
Honestly, it kind of depends, because sometimes I drink and I don't think about anything, like I'm just numb, and sometimes I drink and it's like 1,000 times worse, and I think about it and I just sit and cry.
So let's go back to what we talked about with when I asked you about being an alcoholic, okay? And you said if somebody told you the same things that you were telling them, that you may think that you were an alcoholic, that they were an alcoholic, but you would not necessarily ascribe that term to you.
Sure.
So let's talk about, have you ever been involved in like 12-step meetings or about anything like that? Have you ever been to an AA meeting or?
No.
Okay. So the first step in AA.
Like I don't need it.
Yes, that's okay. So let me just tell you a little bit about AA, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how people in Alcoholics Anonymous, when they come to terms with the fact that they have a disease of alcoholism, which is a lot of times family. It follows families, and there is a genetic component. When people they start to realize that they're powerless over alcohol. Some of the things that you mentioned, when you said that you tried to control it by, I'll wean myself off by drinking beer, or I'll start to smoke cannabis so I won't have to drink as much so the high will be better.
Yeah.
Those are signs of powerlessness over alcohol. And that is the first step in admitting that you have a problem. When you can say the step one is that you admit that you're powerless over alcohol and that you're unable to manage your life,